I'm really, really excited for this next session. It's a little bit outside the box because it's not just a virtual platform, and it's perfect timing because we're about to talk to Naomi from Storycraft Lab. They do actually some work with Hub, but they also do lots of other cool things. So let me just bring her up. Hello, hello. How are you?
Hey, hi Liz, how are you doing? It's lovely to be here today.
Doing well. Thank you so much for joining us. Excited for you to tell everyone a little bit more about the work that you guys are doing and some new things that you're launching.
Yes.
So I will let you do that and I'll be back.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Liz, for the intro. That's wonderful. So hi, everybody. It's Naomi Claire Krellin. I'm CEO of Storycraft Lab, and I'm here to talk to you today about the experience profiles. These are a set of audience archetypes that have been developed as a tool for event planners and creators to introduce personalization into their experiences and build engagement that is really tailored to your audiences and their segmentation. So this is a product that we started designing in April 2020, and we kind of were lovingly incubated at Hub as we developed this and started testing it with our clients. And we're now launching it more publicly as something that is available for planners to use. So Liz, if we could look to the next slide. And the experience profiles really help to address a couple of thorny issues that have been confounding planners a bit right now. Number one, the need for personalization. So you can see on the left there the statistic that 73% of consumers said meeting their rising expectations for a personalized experience is something that most brands struggled with. So this is something that is top of mind for attendees and for planners. Like how do we deliver personalization on these really kind of swift event development and delivery tracks that we're on? And then on the right, the other nut that we're trying to crack is attrition, right? The attrition that we see between registration and event attendance, which was estimated generally as being around about 50 to 54% in 2021. And you can see that stat on the right there. When we use the experience profiles for the Untethered Design-a-thon, a whopping 81% of attendees that registered and took the quiz turned up at the event. So we're really excited to see that piece of data. So next slide, Liz. Now, we've used the experience profiles to build engagement pre-event, right, from the ground up and throughout the entire experience journey. So starting way before registration even. And we use a set of academic frameworks for behavioral preferences to build around how people interact socially, how they interpret content and messaging, how they learn and retain information, how they direct and lead their teams. Next slide, please, Liz. So to show you how this works, we're going to take a really quick sprint through the attendee journey. And we used this journey during some focus groups that happened during August for the industry to take part in. The journey that I'm about to show you is for the Explorer type, and it shows you some of the ways that the experience profiles can be applied. The hot pink track on the left is the attendee experience, and on the right in a kind of ranger teal is the track with the planner touch points that we're going to look at today. So next slide, please. This slide is showing us the phases of the journey: awareness, momentum, up to registration. So when you use the Experience Profiles product, you'll receive a quiz that includes your event branding, customized intro copy, and as people complete the quiz, there's custom copy at the end with your call to action to register. You'll receive recommendations for the ways in which you can tailor follow-up communications for the different profiles to the channels that are more native to them. And this helps build momentum and kind of encourage them in that buying process as they move towards the decision to attend your event. And it's during this set of the journey phases that you're going to have a series of check-ins with Storycraft Lab to help you apply the experience profiles. First of all, we'll check in and talk about the overview of your content strategy. Then we'll host a workshop for you to invite your internal stakeholders to kind of map out your event design and consider how this aligns to the experience profiles. And these workshops are really fun for building engagement within your team and maybe even bringing a couple of vocal attendee advocates along to get them involved in the process as well. And it helps you to identify gaps or areas to rebalance. Let's say that you've got a lot of things for the Explorer profile type, but not a lot for the thinker. Okay, what can we do to even that out and ensure that those different tracks are available, right? And then we work with your platform provider to determine how all of this will fold into the tech platform. So as I mentioned, we've really kind of figured out how this would be presented and utilized within the Hub platform. Really excited that yesterday we got to meet with Socio for another event that's using the experience profiles, and they had some great ideas for how it could be integrated on their platform. So there's a lot of opportunities for how this could work that are very exciting. And then finally, we provide you with an event guide that can be delivered to your registered attendees to help them prepare for the event, right? What are the experience profiles, how they intended to work, and what will they drive for your experience at the event? So next slide, please, Liz. Now, you'll also receive, when you sign up for the experience profiles, a brand kit that includes artwork assets for integration into the site, but also kind of templates for pre-event communications. Things that can be used to encourage influencer posting. This is especially helpful if you're working with brilliant folks like Snowball to get the message out there, right? And it's also a great time to consider integrating your sponsors. During the focus groups, we heard a lot of ideas about how certain sponsors might be really interested to sponsor a series of activities that might be directed at the explorer type or the seeker type, right? And kind of giving them access to really kind of engage with a certain experience profile. So all of this time, Storycraft Lab will be helping you to track the quiz data that's coming in. How many different profiles do you have attending? And really kind of understanding your planning around who's planning to attend, right? And once folks arrive, we're then going to give you that set of resources that you can provide to attendees on the platform. These might be backdrops to use, badges, things that can get integrated throughout the experience. So next slide, please. All right, so as your amazing event takes place, we'll provide a series of feedback questions and fun ideas for integrating the collection of feedback into the experience. And post-event, we'll help assess the engagement data and provide you with a summary analysis of what happened. And this would be kind of in concert with the platform that you're using. And when you use the experience profiles, you'll also have access to a Storycraft Lab community forum, which will provide resources and tools to support you as a practitioner and provide you with insights and behavioral trends that we're seeing across the industry. So next slide, please, Liz. So all of that shows that the experience profiles really can augment your process as well as the experience product for your attendees. They engage the audience in kind of co-creating the experience, feeling like it's tailored for them, helping to identify channels for communications that will resonate, providing you with recommendations for interactivity that supports social styles and networking, content delivery mixes that helps your messaging stick, and formats for learning that really resonate. But most of all, they also provide benchmarks that you can use to guide your post-event analysis and insights to fuel your event creation year-round. So the experience profiles are intended to be platform agnostic. So we're hoping that we'll see them kind of used across lots of different types of events and platforms, and we'll get insights then into trends as a whole. So for example, when we introduced the experience profiles in 2020, we were consistently seeing results returning for about 30% of seekers, right? This was the early days of COVID. Everybody was just desperate not to be in the house and wanting to kind of get back to normal. We hadn't really kind of adjusted our mindset around what normal was. But in 2021 now, we're seeing that attendees that identify with that seeker group has actually dropped below 10%. And we're seeing the embrace of the kind of slightly more solitary or introspective mindsets, the explorers or the thinkers. And perhaps this reveals a growing comfort with providing for the needs of our inner introvert. So we're already starting to see kind of movement around these different profiles, and it's telling us things about what attendees want and need. So on the next slide, Liz, thank you. This shows that journey that I just provided to you in a very visual, meandering and delightful way that Becca and our team put together. Yay, Becca. But this is a much more linear fashion. So we do coordinate with you on your schedule. So the pieces of this, while we're showing kind of sequentially here, can move around depending on kind of where your schedule is as a planner. Just this, I think this format does help to make sense of that meandering journey that I shared earlier. And next slide, please. Here it is again, another interpretation, but with even less color. So this is important because it shows you the pricing structure that we're using during this in-market test phase. So one of the things that we heard from the focus groups was a desire to use the experience profiles across multiple events within a year, right? So you can really begin, it gives you that kind of nice swift on-ramp and set of benchmarks for personalization. But then when you start to analyze the data and kind of continue to evolve and refine, you really do get to see some exciting insights around personalization. So you can see on the bottom right there that there's a cost of $11,000 for the first event, and then it drops significantly for subsequent events. And right now, the other thing that I wanted to share is that we're offering a significant discount for early adopters. So as a part of the early adopter program, you'll agree to give us input and feedback to the process and deliverables, so that while you're collaborating with us essentially in this kind of in-market prototyping phase, we can continue to refine the structure and the process. And you can see here, I'm calling this the experience profiles, like off the shelf. The focus groups did uncover another need from some folks that were asking, like, can we come up with a system where we white label essentially the experience profiles and maybe change the names depending on, I think for bigger brands and some organizations, they might have an interest in doing that. There is an additional kind of pricing structure for that if anybody's interested in, I'm happy to speak to. All right. Did I make it in time, Liz, or did I go way over?
You did not go way over, but this is super interesting. So it was worth sharing. I am seeing Francis says, this is brilliant. I haven't seen anything like this before. Totally agree with Maya, who says such a thoughtful tool. This is the kind of thinking that as planners, we need to be doing a lot more of. We spend so much time kind of obsessed with like, which platform are we using?
Yes, yeah.
And that's so important. But now we are 18 months into this, and we have to really think about, what does this journey look like for our attendees? Who are our attendees? It's super, super interesting.
And I think the intent is there, and obviously the understanding is there, right? Sure. But we're all barreling along with like this kind of crazy schedules that we keep in the world of events, where the events are kind of one after the other. And it's difficult sometimes to kind of carve out the opportunity for that on-ramp to personalization, right? Because I think the idea of personalization in a kind of broad way, if you were doing it kind of solo, you would sit down with your last event, you'd kind of immerse yourself in the data, you'd emerge 2 months later with some insights to start working with. And quite frankly, not a lot of us have the time to do that within our daily lives. So we're actually kind of excited about using the profiles as this set of archetypes that in many ways, like the data and the knowledge is kind of crowd funded, so crowdsourced. We get to benefit from the insights that we generate all together across all of our events, right? The more we know, the more we know, it's kind of this wonderful unpacking.
And it's, as people are thinking about 365 communities and doing events regularly, that we're not talking about once a year and you have 11 months to think about it and plan it. We're moving a lot faster than that. I love the idea of the templates, just giving people some ideas on communications, and obviously they can customize them for their brand.
Yes. But that the Explorer type, if you are able to find them and message them specifically through a quick video on Instagram Reels, they are going to stop and watch and listen and pay attention to what you're saying there, right? So it's really nice to think about how those communications channels can be tailored and made more effective. Because, I think that we've all gotten comfortable with social media content being kind of one size fits all, but actually it's going to feel much more interesting if I notice, and people do notice, that I'm receiving different communications in different areas, it's going to pique our interest. And I especially love the idea that just by getting people involved in the quiz and the feedback process, you're engaging your audience as co-creators. And inherently what I see is when people have a hand in shaping their event experience, they feel more positively about that event experience on the outcome, because they were part of creating it in the first place,
And they show up, which is so key.
Yes, we were really excited about that piece of data. Super excited.
Yeah. Okay. I knew Anthony Vade was going to love this. He says user-centric design vital for events to have long-term impact.
Yes,
I am very sad that we're out of time, but so glad that you got the chance to share this with our audience. Please do contact Naomi and the team at Storycraft Lab. The email address is here on the screen. And then would you recommend otherwise that people go to storycraftlab.com?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
I figured. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing this with us.
Thank you for having me. Thanks. Really to see you.